Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Azlina Muradsani, and I'm actually a replacement for the Vice Chancellor, who is Professor Muhammad Mustafa Isa, who cannot make it today because he has a previous engagement in London. So basically, I'm going to be giving a wider perspective of internationalization of higher education from the Malaysian perspective. Earlier, if you were here in the first session, my colleague from UNIMAP gave a presentation on the details of what his university was doing. So mine is more of what Malaysia, how Malaysia interprets internationalization of higher education. So this paper will share how internationalization is interpreted from a Malaysian perspective, referring specifically to public universities and not private universities. We'll look at the rationales and some strategic objectives of internationalization with particular reference to the National Higher Education Strategic Plan. I don't think we will have time to get to the other two. So we'll start off with that, and if there's time, maybe we can go to the challenges there. Okay, to contextualize the paper, we borrowed the phrase flat world from Joseph Friedman, who wrote on the globalized world of the 21st century, where the advancement of technology has made repositories of knowledge largely borderless. And success and opportunity are determined by talent, innovation, and the ability to compete in the global marketplace. Okay. Ideally, this would mean that the leveling of the playing field in all aspects, including higher education. Whether it has or not done that, I believe we can say that globalization has brought about opportunities. We see that higher education institutions, even from small countries like Malaysia, are reaching further afield to advance knowledge to the world at large. And we also see that the ability to provide a globally relevant education and accessible education leads to increased visibility and recognition in the international scene. Okay, as I understand, Keuka College, what Keuka College has achieved for now. Okay. So in addition to that, globalization has also challenged higher education institutions to reassess curriculum, to address global market needs, to improve access to information, and to encourage innovation, not only among students but also staff in general. When we talk about internationalization and public higher education, we have to think about the role in national development. Okay? According to UNESCO, higher education is considered the driving force of national development. So while public universities are going for international interconnectedness, it is crucial for the development of the 21st century, but for public universities, this needs to be reconciled with social responsibility and nation-building goals. So we still have to have at the back of our mind, even when we are internationalizing, that we do need to consider elements like social equity and inclusion, increasing access to higher education among the people. Again, I'm quoting from UNESCO in a position paper on higher education in a globalized society, which stressed the importance of governments to maintain their role in defining policies of higher education, assuring its quality, and ensuring it performs all its missions and functions in society. And I believe Malaysia is attempting to do that. So you can see that in the Malaysian context, internationalization of public higher education institutions is strategized within a larger context of a national higher education transformation plan. We started implementing this plan in 2007, and it's a long-term plan that's going to take us up to 2020, where we hope to achieve developed nation status. Okay. So this National Higher Education Transformation Plan provides a framework for the internationalization pursuits of public higher education institutions at the same time keeping the goal of nation building central. What you see here is the strategic thrust of the higher education strategic plan, which I quote from the ministry, is an all-encompassing plan which covers the significant aspects of higher education that we need to pay attention to. Okay, so for example, for improving teaching and learning, we have under that going for industrial internships and attachments, curriculum improvements, expanding e-learning, student-centeredness, and so on, so that our graduates are more versatile and marketable. Okay? And picking on a few here, okay? Enhancing research and innovation. We would like to consolidate our research capabilities, improve collaborative networking, going more towards inventor, being an inventor of technology rather than a consumer of technology, commercialization of research, and so on. Okay, and for enculturating lifelong learning, we would like to develop a human resource with the capability of renewing, discovering skills and knowledge, and to inculcate learning as a way of life. This is to fulfill the needs of the K economy. Okay, and highlighted in orange there is intensifying internationalization, which is part of the whole plan. Okay, the vision encompassing all these aspects would be, what we'd like is that all qualified students in Malaysia would have access to higher education. They will graduate and become human capital of global quality, and they will be able to drive the innovation and creativity that is needed for the country's future. So, sorry, I think I've covered that. Okay. So, rationales for internationalization, we looked at the strategic plan book and tried to identify the rationales for internationalization from the discourse in the book, and we found three that we have defined according to Chiang 2003. The first is economic long-term benefits, such as generating income and foreign exchange savings. The records show that cash flow in 2010 from internationalization of higher education was more than 2.6 billion, so it did contribute, was one of the top 12 contributors to the economy there. Okay. We are also hoping to produce human capital that can thrive in the global and competitive environment. Rationales, academic rationales, we're looking to improve so that we are on par with the best practices, and this is one of the reasons why we are intensifying internationalization. We would also like curriculum to be highly relevant and internationally recognized. Okay, so benchmarking and all that here. Another academic rationale would be so that we can produce students who can be both national and international citizens, open-minded, competitive, and have a global outlook, and capable of contributing to universal development. Political rationales, we would like to promote our national culture and identity. Okay, so we would like to establish and promote research on national languages and cultures, regional cultures as well. And it also says that the international students who have completed their studies can play the role of very good ambassador in order to promote our national culture and identity to the world at large. Okay? So these are the rationales for internationalization. Okay, moving on to the strategic objectives for internationalization. Here, the chart shows some selected objectives, not the entire thing, and as the matching key performance indicators. This is what the universities are working, public universities are working towards with regards to internationalization. So the strategic objective would be diversifying expertise among academic staff, and key performance indicator of that would be the increase in international academic staff. Okay? So the key performance indicators on your right there are formulated using an activity approach, which means that they are in terms of numbers, specific activities and programs, and amounts of percentages of increase in that. Okay. So what we have here, as you see, were mentioned earlier this morning in terms of the need for mobility programs. We're working towards that. We're working towards increasing institutional partnerships down there. Okay, and an increase in high quality international students coming into our universities. Continue there, benchmarking of programs. We're working towards accreditation of programs by internationally recognized bodies, and of course we're also hoping to have more visiting staff, international staff engaging in academic and research activities. So based on the strategic objectives earlier, we hope in the long term that the outcomes will be to enhance competitiveness and international reputation of our public higher education institutions, and to improve the marketability of our graduates, to increase collaboration and knowledge sharing among academics, and to attract foreign students and academics to study and work in our country. Okay, this diagram here shows the planning, implementation and monitoring of internationalization activities by the Ministry of Education. Okay. What we do generally is we meet every year to discuss what we have achieved in the previous year, the red box on top, and then we will finalize new strategic objectives and key performance indicators for the next round. Okay, and then once those are negotiated with the universities, so the ministry and the university representatives will sit together and decide on what would be the strategic objectives and the reasonable key performance indicators for the year. Okay, so input from the universities is very crucial in here, and very, very well received by the ministry. Okay. So after that, each university would set their own yearly targets, what they want to achieve for the year, and they will strategize to achieve those targets. Then they go on and implement their action plans, and then the loop goes back to, we provide feedback on the progress of what we have achieved. If there are issues in achieving those, then we share them online. There is a dedicated portal for this that has been set up, and we also meet face-to-face quite a lot to discuss what we are doing and where we should proceed. Okay? Central to this process is the development of a culture of collaborating among public institutions rather than competing. Okay? So in many cases, public universities have also created formal and informal platforms to discuss issues and best practices, and we also establish smart partnerships among ourselves in order to achieve those objectives that we set out here. Okay. I would like to show you the website that I was talking about. Okay, this is the ministry website that has been set up for us to communicate among ourselves and among the ministry, and to deal with the objectives and KPIs that we looked at earlier. Okay? So it's partly written in English and partly in Malay, so I don't know if you get everything. So what we have here, earlier I showed you 7 key areas or key thrusts, And these are broken down into more than 20 what you call critical agenda projects, okay, that all universities work towards. And internationalization, as you can see, is one of them here. Okay? So on the left, we have, right? These are the 20 public universities here. Okay? And we can go into our own site where we would key in what we want to do. I'll show you a little bit, a sneak peek only at what the UUM site. Okay. So, what do we call it? Single gateway for managing all information in the, that's the PSPTN, is the National Strategic Plan. Okay. So we have here, we can see KPI health check for the university, so we can see where we're at and whether we have achieved our objectives or not. Okay, it goes, this is what we're working on, this year, so you see some red where red is not relevant here. Okay, so the green has been achieved, yellow is on the way, and so on. Okay, so this is like a health check that they put here. Okay, let's see. So on the top here we have our targets and activities for different things. So just now we were talking about strategic objectives and targets. So the targets are keyed in here. Right. So we have here strategic objectives, key performance indicators, and our targets by year. Okay. So we put in our own targets. Different universities will set their own targets according to their priorities, their needs, and so on. Okay. So this will be up to 2015 and what we plan to do to achieve those targets. Okay. So it's in Malay, so there's no point in looking at this, but I just wanted to show you how we do this and how we key in and report back to the ministry on what we have achieved in the year. Okay, there are also sections where we can go in and discuss issues. If there are problems in achieving what we want to achieve, then we go back to the website and we contact the ministry and say these are the issues and these are preventing us from achieving what we want to achieve. Okay? Okay, some challenges for internationalization for us would be one, mainly is the regulation of qualifications of incoming international students. We have students coming in from many different countries, and sometimes it is so difficult to actually verify the pre-university qualifications. We have a Malaysian qualifications agency that helps out with it, but sometimes standards are not easily verifiable when students come in from many different countries. Second, I think earlier in the early presentation it was already mentioned that English language entry requirements are a problem. Our international students take the courses in English, okay, as a medium of instruction, but many international students are unable to fulfill the language prerequisites, and intensive pre-sessional courses don't really work for us because we are in a second language environment, and it's very hard for them to improve. As earlier it was mentioned, in 6 months, it's really not much progress, not enough to take an academic course in English. Okay? Financial support for international student mobility was mentioned also this morning, that there should be more funds available. Right now we have them, but they're not enough to send many of the students that we would like to send. Finishing up. Okay, attracting outstanding international staff is also a challenge. We can attract international staff, we can, but what we would like is outstanding international staff, and that is a bit of a problem for us. Yeah? Next would be high cost of international auditing. As you saw earlier, we would like to benchmark our programs against international standards, but the challenge is a high cost, because like for the ACSB, the initial costs are already so high. Okay? The last one there was also mentioned this morning, sustaining meaningful win-win partnerships. We have lots of MOUs, but sometimes they don't last for long. They just sit there and nothing is really being done. Yeah. Okay, to conclude, Malaysia is seriously committed to internationalizing higher education, and we are doing it within the framework of the Higher Education Strategic Plan, so that we don't forget our main role is still in national capacity building, despite the fact that we are internationalizing. Okay? We have made some encouraging progress. It's nothing compared to what earlier was mentioned, the numbers mentioned in the US, but we are small and we're proud of what we have achieved so far. We have 24,000 international students in public universities at the moment. Public and private combined, we have about 87,000. Okay, almost in the public institutions, almost 3,000 students are sponsored by their governments and overseas agencies, which means that our programs are, acknowledged by foreign bodies. We have about 66,500 students now in mobility programs, and nearly 2,000 international academic staff working in the country, and more than 150 programs have been accredited by international bodies so far. Okay? The latest developments has been to streamline our academic calendar effective this year. We normally begin our academic year in July, but this has caused some problems in intakes because most countries do a September-October intake. So we have changed our system now, and beginning this year we'll do that so that this will facilitate international admissions, and it will give us an opportunity to go out to seminars and meet people and make contacts and network and so on as well. Okay? So that's it. Thank you.
Questions? If anybody has something they want to clarify?
I have a very basic question. The language of instruction at most schools is Malay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But some programs are available in English?
Yes. Most programs where we have international students are available in English.
Other question? Yes, sir.
Do you have specific student and faculty exchanges?
Specific ones? Yes, we do. We have about 40 linkages at the moment, and most of our linkages are for student mobility, but we do have staff that go out to China in sabbatical exchanges and things like that.
Join me in thanking Dr. Simon.